welcome to the Elite YGO. My name is Reese, and today we're going to be doing a deck profile of Magical Musketeers. Now, before we get the video started, I'd like to apologize for this mess you see on my face. You know, I usually do have a beard, but barbershops are closed, which means this is going to get more and more out of control as the weeks come. So, until barbershops are open again here in Melbourne, because we are in isolation, well, you're going to have to deal with this insane ISO beard for the foreseeable future. But without further ado, let's get started with the deck profile. Okay, starting with the monsters, we play 3 Magical Musketeer Starfire. I'll explain what the muskets do just quickly. So, when a spell or trap card is activated underneath the same zone that they are summoned in, or just in general, they get to activate their effects. So, Starfire will special summon 1 level 4 or lower Magical Musket monster from the deck. Really, really powerful card. It's the card you want to see most of the time. We also run 3 Caspar. This one will search you any Magical Musketeer card, which is really broken. This card is what makes this deck as powerful as it is, I think. We play 3 Kid Brave. This one lets you discard 1 Magical Musket card and draw 2. This one's really good at turbos through your deck, and draw power is always more than welcome in my decks, so this card is nuts. We also played 2 Doc. This one adds back a Magical Musketeer card from your graveyard. Really powerful. This keeps you in the grind game if it gets to that point. And then we played the 1 Calamity. This one will special summon 1 from the graveyard. The only issue is you only kind of play this for the Kid Brave, not for the Kid Brave, for the Starfire, because you need another level 4 to do your secret OTK that no one knows about ever, right? Just as a little tech, 3 Parallel Exceed. This acts as a chain blocker for your Max, because Max, you want it to resolve. Max is the most broken card in the deck, and you always want it to resolve. This also helps you do that secret special OTK that no one knows about, right? Onto hand traps, somewhat self-explanatory. 3 Ash Blossom. This card's still really good. It's good against Dogmatica, really powerful against them. And I feel like this deck, that's the hardest matchup, so you kind of want to tutor your deck to help beat that matchup. So I think Ash Blossom is super necessary right now. We also play 3 Ghost Ogre because you want to beat Numerons. Numerons are also another really hard matchup for the deck. In fact, most matchups are quite difficult because this deck is, I think, considered more rogue now. So Ghost Ogre will help you against Numerons because, you know, if they set up a Zexal on you, it's almost impossible to win unless you draw your 1 tech that I play. So this card is pretty mandatory now. Also, this card's more of a tech. I don't see many profiles running it, but I think it is the best hand trap in the game if your deck can play it. 3 Dimensional Shifter. This card is absolutely broken. This will beat Dogmatica, this will beat Eldritch, this will beat Dragon Link, this will beat everything. What this card does is you can discard it, and then for the next 2 turns, everything is banished instead of going to the graveyard. What that means, all Eldritch cards get banished. All the Dogmatica cards that get sent from the extra deck to the grave will get banished instead. This card is nuts. I highly recommend you play it because this will more likely than not force your opponent to just normal summon. You'll activate this and they'll just pass because they don't want to like invest too much into their combo, which allows you to do your, what is that? Your very special secret OTK that no one knows about. That's it for the hand traps. We'll move on to spell cards. We play the obligatory 3 Cross Domination. This one just targets a card, negates its effects, and makes its attack 0. The issue with Magical Musketeer cards is everything targets. So you need to be wary of that if there is a deck you're facing and it's immune to targeting, you're gonna have a hard time. But it's fine, this card is still broken nonetheless. We play the 3 Pot of Desires. Some people hate playing 3, but I think in Magical Musketeers this is super necessary because hand advantage means everything, and you play 3 of the most important cards in the deck, so it doesn't really matter what you're banishing. And if you activate this under a musket card, chances are you're gonna go +2 at least, so this card's just absurd, so you have to play it, I think. We also play the 1 Upstart Goblin. Now, you'll notice I do not play 40 cards, it's actually more than 40, and you'll be questioning why you play Upstart in a deck that has more than 40 cards, but this acts as a +2, not a +1. Sorry, acts as a +1, not a net 0 essentially, because you activate a card to draw a new card. So this card is nuts because it will give you a +1 in the end, provided you activate it under a musket card. Again, I'll have to apologize in advance, but we play 3 Forbidden Droplet. Obviously, I've got 2 in the mail waiting, but I wanted to get this deck profile out for you guys. Again, this card is probably the best card in the game right now. I highly recommend you invest in it because it's only going to get more expensive. If you cannot afford a card like this, something like Chalice is a very good alternative, but you want something to help negate cards without targeting, which this provides. It also helps you do your super secret special OTK because it drops their attack as well, which is really, really powerful. So 3 Forbidden Droplet is pretty much mandatory in most decks, and you'll see it in almost all my decks for the foreseeable future. And then for the special secret OTK, that's right, you heard it here first, guys, double or nothing. This, I'm sure you've never seen before. Yeah, this card's just absurd. It helps you go for that OTK. Obviously, this deck is more geared towards going second, but it can go first, it's fine. But this card is really, really strong. Onto the traps, we play 3 Last Stand. Last Stand just negates a spell or trap card, really strong. 3 Desperado, this card targets a card on a face-up card on the field and destroys it. Again, really, really powerful. And then obviously the one of Dancing Needle, this card banishes 3 from the extra deck. It's literally a DD Crow times 3. It's really powerful against most of the meta, so I mean there have been times where I've wanted more than one, but your ability to recycle cards is just insane in this deck, so I don't think you need to play more than one. But again, it's personal preference. All my deck profiles just here to sort of give you an idea of what to play, and then you can sort of decide from there how you want to play the deck. This is just how I think it should be played. Before we get on to the extra deck, guys, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to nikijo.com.au. Use promo code ELITE5 for a 5% discount on all your orders. I highly recommend checking them out. Their prices are insane. They actually sold out on most of the good cards from Rise of the Duelists because their prices are so damn cheap. So if you want to get in for your pre-sales on future sets, you better get there on time or else you probably will miss out. Their prices are really that good, guys. Okay, onto the extra deck. Obviously, the self-explanatory 3 Magical Musketeer Max. Basically, when it only requires 1 Magical Musket monster, and when it's link summoned, you can use one of 2 effects. You can add Magical Musket cards from your deck to your hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or you can special summon Magical Musket monsters from your deck up to the number of back row your opponent controls. This card is insane. If any other deck, like say for example, I don't know, Dragon Link or Eldritch had a card like this, it would be tier 0. This card helped this deck become what it is, and I'm so happy we finally got it printed. This card is literally absurd. It's so broken. For the Link 2s, we play 1 Lambda. This is the flex spot of the deck. You can play Pentastag. Pentastag is also really good, but you do want a generic Link 2 because sometimes you're stuck with like a bunch of monsters, and you know you could play IP Masquerena, but I've noticed a lot of the times I'm stuck with more Link monsters than just, you know, the normal musket monsters because you kind of link climb to destroy things. So Lambda or Pentastag are really good. Pentastag's especially good because if you activate Dimensional Shifter, for example, and they just set a card and pass, if you can get to a Pentastag with your Utopia double or nothing, you're going to win the game. So it's really, really powerful. But again, it doesn't really matter. I would have put Pentastag in, but I couldn't find mine. So I would obviously pick Pentastag over this, but again, it's really up to you. For the Nightmares, we play 1 Cerberus, 1 Phoenix, and 1 Unicorn. You'll notice in a lot of my deck profiles, I don't really play these anymore, and I've noticed a lot of people don't play them in general, but because this deck spams so much, you can actually afford to do this. And if you notice, Max is a down pointing arrow, which means you can co-link a lot of these and get a free draw off it, which is really, really, really nice. For Link 4s, we play 1 Access Code because you do have a lot of links that are different attributes, so this card can become super devastating. The 1 Appaloosa, if you're forced to go first, there's a good chance you can still get this off. Not always, but if you're in a grind game and you somehow break your opponent's board but you can't finish them, if you can end on an Appaloosa, most times you're going to seal the deal. So this card's really strong. And then obviously Borrelsword, in case double or nothing gets stopped, for example, Borrelsword will just give you that extra game push and your opponent will be very sad. Onto the rank 4 XYZs. Thanks to Parallel Exceed, we can actually afford to play a fair few more of these because you are able to go into more rank 4s now. So a lot of these are geared towards going first because you're not always allowed to go second. Unfortunately, it's just how it is. So we play the 1 Abyss Dweller, generally such a strong card in the format. 1 Baguska, again, this card's nuts. If you summon this in defense mode, it's really hard for an opponent to out. I think this card's really good. Obviously the Utopia with the Utopia double, and I also play 1 Utopia the Lightning. The reason you play Lightning is because if they ash this, you can if they ash this, you can at least, you know, summon this over the top. So it's fine. This card's really, really nuts. Obviously, you have to play these because muskets really struggle with high attack monsters. So you kind of want to have something threatening in your deck that lets you kind of push for that final really hard game-winning kill. And this card, you know, being able to do like 10,000 damage, or make Utopia do 10,000 damage, is insanity. So yeah, this is mandatory, I think, in Magical Musketeers. You have to play this. It's nothing new. I know I was teasing that it was something special, but this is nothing new. But you definitely have to play this to just threaten your opponent a lot more than you can currently. And that's it for the deck profile, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is more of a quicker video, but this deck is one of my favorite decks of all time. I've been playing this for well over a year at this point, and you know, I've done super well at locals with it. I never got to play the deck with the Forbidden Droplets or the Parallel Exceed, because I had moved on to like Dragon Link when we had locals for about 4 weeks. But through the testing with friends, this is the optimal way to play it. Chances are you're gonna win, provided your hands are somewhat powerful. Unfortunately, like I said, this deck is, I wouldn't say like all the way down at Rogue, but it's definitely not like tier 2. It's like somewhere in between. This deck is really powerful. You just need to open like really well. I guess same can be said for a lot of decks, but I think this deck has super strong potential. I think it needs like one new card to make it a lot better. The deck really needs a main deck monster searcher. That's preferably a spell card, or I don't know, like a trap card that activates when it's sent to the graveyard, which means then you can activate things like Foolish Barrel Goods, you know, so to just excel your game. But other than that, this deck is really fun, and I hope you guys try it. If you're a Magical Musketeer player, I hope you enjoyed the build itself. I hope it's something different for you, and I hope you decide to try it out. Like I said, Forbidden Droplet is the best card in the format right now, so if you can't afford it, it's sad. I know it's expensive. A lot of the cards out of Rise of the Duels are very expensive, but it is what it is. You kind of got to accept it in Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point. Cards are expensive. There are obviously alternatives, like I showed you. Just be creative, guys. That's all I ask. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment down below what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, before I leave, go watch episode 2 of the Yu-Gi Talk podcast, because we are really trying to make that a big deal, and honestly, I think it's really fun to make, and I've watched them all, and I'm in it, and I don't like watching videos I'm in, but those are very easy to stick through and watch, so please go and check it out. It's very fun this week, and hopefully over the coming weeks we'll have special guests, because honestly, like, I want to bring different Yu-Gi tubers, different players from around the world. I'd like to have different guests on the channel, so if you have any guests in mind for the podcast, I don't know, message them, spam them, tell them, jump on the Yu-Gi Talk podcast, because it is the next big thing. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling. I'll see you guys next time.